YouTube. As you can see, today I felt like the sip intro was necessary. Okay. However, I'm not going to dive right into that specific detail just yet because I kind of want to clarify something that I mentioned on my recent video talking about Sasha Calle's comments about her interaction with Henry Cavill, his support that he showed her. It was being said from this other press conference that Henry Cavill gave her advice. However, when asked in this Fandango interview with Eric Davis, he said, he asked her, did Henry Cavill give you advice? And she said, no, I think that kind of got mixed up. She met him months after she was already done filming the film, when the movie was already done being filmed. She met him after that. Therefore, if you're meeting him afterward, he could give you support and some advice about things, but it wouldn't make sense for him to give her support about playing the role because she already filmed everything, right? So I guess that was somewhat of a mix-up in that other press conference that came from, but she did continue to elaborate on when she did meet him, how supportive he was and how much it meant to her to have that stamp of approval. She said she watched Man of Steel multiple times and she has huge respect for him. He was a very nice, super nice guy. Told her, well done, and that meant the world to her. So I just wanted to clarify that since I did talk about it in my video about, Henry Cavill watching the Flash film and, giving his support to Sasha Calle. So lots of Flash stuff to talk about, which like I mentioned in that video as well, I think that will continue until the movie comes out and then afterward, of course. There was also been a lot of talk and buzz surrounding Zack Snyder, how, kind of just the whole big conversation about Zack Snyder, Man of Steel, Henry Cavill, The Flash, all of that, because a large part of what's happening in the movie is during events of Man of Steel when Zod, Feora, they come to, take over. And of course, it's a little bit different. It's going to be slightly different in, The Flash, because the timeline is changed, but Andy Muschietti did have some comments about Zack Snyder, and he said, I would love Zack to watch this movie. I think we honored the part of the movie that he created in terms of characters and characterizations and cast, so I think he would enjoy it. Obviously, Zack's, I don't want to say approval, but it's feedback on, it would be on your mind and it would be important to you, right? It's something that would be of great concern if you were the one directing this movie and if this is the story that they came up with, the time that Flash travels back to, why he's looking for Superman, why it's, catastrophic that Barry has gone back to this particular time. I'm sure he doesn't want to feel like they disrespected his movies or his characters or, anything like that. So I appreciate that Andy Muschietti said this. At the same time, I have seen some people a little irritated by the fact that, some people kind of feel like they're using Zack's movies and Zack's name to promote The Flash, even though he was treated so badly by the studio all these years. And I totally understand that point of view as well, because of how bad the relationship was and how badly Zack was treated by the studio. So I get that as well. However, promoting Zack's work, I don't think is a bad thing. Especially because it's promoting Man of Steel, Henry Cavill's Superman, and Zack Snyder's Justice League. Not 2017 theatrical Justice League, right? So I feel like as long as you're not promoting that, I will always be I appreciate Man of Steel so much, Zack Snyder's Justice League so much, BVS, all of that. So I don't necessarily think that Andy Muschietti and the cast are maliciously using Zack's name in his movie and his characters to promote their movie, because I don't think they don't have anything to do, the cast, the director, all, they don't have anything to do with how Zack was treated by the studio. That was all executives and leadership that treated Zack this way, the way they did, right? You can't really, it's not fair to kind of group Andy Muschietti, Barbara Muschietti, the cast, into the same basket as Toby Emmerich and Walter Hamada and, Kevin Tsujihara and Ann Sarnoff. It's not fair to put them... That's not fair. Just because they made a Flash movie just because they made a DC movie. You know, that's not fair to say like, oh, they're just using him. You can say that maybe about the studio if you want, I guess. But then again, you know, the current leadership inherited this movie from the previous leadership. So, of course, you know, the current leadership doesn't really have anything to do with how Zack was treated either at that time. Yes, they totally dropped the ball on Henry Cavill, 100,000%. So there is a very fine line here. The thing with Sasha Kaya saying that Henry Cavill approves of the movie and, you know, was impressed by it and whatnot. There's some people that are like upset that they're putting that out there publicly because of how he was treated. And like I said, I totally understand that as well, you know, but that only shows what a class act he is, right? It's hard. It's a very difficult, tricky, sticky situation, right? And like I said, just because he was treated badly by the studio doesn't mean he's not going to support other people with their solo movies, because he's worked with these people. They had, you know, established a good relationship together. I'm sure he's happy for Ezra that he's finally getting his movie, and he's probably very happy for Sasha Kaya that she, you know, was able to land this amazing role. He probably was like, oh, Michael Shannon gets to come back as Zod, and, you know, Ante Trau, oh my god, I hope I did not butcher her name, comes back as Feora. Like, he's probably happy for all of them, you know. So like I said, it's, yes, the studio treated him very badly, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be supportive of the people that made this movie, as far as the director, the cast, the crew. You see what I'm saying there? And Ben, oh my god, Ben coming back as Batman, like, of course he's going to be supportive of them. It's a tricky thing. It's a tricky thing because of just the whole situation that the previous leadership created, and then what happened with Henry Cavill with the new leadership. It just made it, I mean, a whole lot worse, which I did not even think was possible. But they definitely proved me wrong. So I also feel like if Zack saw that, if he happens to see what Andy Muschietti says about him, you know, that he hopes Zack watches it and that he enjoys it. This is Zack Snyder's Flash, right? This is who Zack Snyder chose as the Flash. This is who we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League do amazing, epic, beautiful things. So Andy Muschietti is definitely going to be like, I hope Zack enjoys what we did, because this is his Flash that he introduced, and not, like I said, Man of Steel. So I feel like, just like Henry Cavill, he would be very supportive of them as well, because it's not fair to be like, oh, screw your movie because the studio treated me like crap. No, that's not fair. I'm sure he's happy for Ezra as well, and all the other people that have got to reprise their roles in this movie that he cast in the first place. So I'm sure he would be supportive of them as well. It doesn't, you know, regardless of how the executives had treated him before. Continuing on with Henry Cavill, Superman, The Flash. Potential spoilers if you have not seen this specific international TV spot promo for The Flash. Potential spoiler warning. Okay. I haven't watched the whole TV spot or the whole promo because I feel like I've seen enough for The Flash. It's just been nonstop for like 3 months. But I have seen screen grabs and a very quick, like, looped moment of a potentially faceless Superman cameo in the Flash movie. Here's a screen grab. Breaking news that a volcano is erupting in Guatemala, and you see Superman there, his cape, and he's appearing to be using his laser vision. I'm pretty shocked that they put this in a promo, TV spot, whatever. I just wasn't expecting that, like, at all. Yes, over the years, DC has done, we've seen way too many faceless, headless, whatever, Superman cameos. Shazam, Peacemaker. Every time that happened, it just reignited the fans' frustration with the studio for not using Henry Cavill, because there's absolutely no reason not to. On one hand, I feel bad for Andy Muschietti. If he's using Man of Steel characters and, you know, he chose to use that for his story, why wouldn't he want Henry Cavill to be in the movie? Like, of course he would want that, I think. Instead, in this movie, it's like, oh, he's gonna find Supergirl instead. So obviously that was, I think, in my opinion, a studio thing, because they never wanted to use Henry Cavill again. That's why the Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia kept getting no for 6 years, until finally we got to see him in Black Adam. But since they went back on that, all this does, every time we see this kind of thing happen in DC, it just makes the fans want Henry Cavill back even more. Like, the studio, you're not winning by doing this. It makes the fans continually more frustrated that Henry Cavill just keeps getting the shaft. Like, don't show Superman if it's not him. It looks like what it's supposed to be Henry Cavill's version of Superman, right? But I doubt we're gonna see his face. Just like it was supposed to be Henry Cavill's Superman in Shazam and in Peacemaker and all that nonsense. You know it's his version of Superman, but you don't actually, it's not him, it's a body double. This is disrespectful, and it's dumb. I'm sure Andy Muschietti wanted to use Henry Cavill, but the studio, the previous leadership and the new leadership have just been like, made it impossible for that to even be an option, right? And clearly Zack Snyder's Justice League is canon for this movie. So, hello? The studio was like, yeah, you can put Henry Cavill in your movie. I'm pretty sure he would have. He just wanted to do what he could to show Superman exists the normal timeline before Barry travels back in time, because if you don't show that Superman exists now, why would it matter when he travels back in time? All the events that are going on have to do with Superman. This is what he had to do to establish that, but it just sucks that it has to be another Faceless thing. So, you know, stay updated on the channel. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on so you can be aware when I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for the support and listening to me ramble on today. See you soon.